Um, Welcome to our training session here for Canvas today. I'm going to briefly introduce myself. Everybody is on mute, but we will have moments. Yeah, sorry, there's all kinds of alarms going up in my background. We will have several opportunities for you guys to ask questions. You will also be able to ask questions down in the questions area, and there's also a chat area just for general observations. But if there are questions, we will be recording them during the session. I will also be taking a parking lot of any questions that you might have that we may not have an immediate answer to. That's a little bit unusual in these circumstances, but we might. Once again, I'm Tracy Lynn Dice. I am a instructional designer with TCS Education System. We'll be working with you all in one way or another, probably, to help you design your blended and your online courses in Canvas, our new LMS. It's a really great system. I've been instructional designer for 16 years, and I look forward to working with all of you. We also have Deanna Johnson on the line, and she is a trainer with Canvas. I'm going to let her talk to you for just a second about herself, but she's a trainer with Canvas, as I said, and she's got a PhD in instructional technology from Utah State University, so I'm sure she'll be really great with helping us with all of our needs and questions. So give me just one moment, and I'm going to turn this over to Deanna Johnson, but I did want to show you guys a feature here that I wanted a feature that's available to you through Saybrook. It's in the Saybrook Commons. If you just bear with me for just a second, because for some great reason the system logged me out, so I need to get the password for that and log back in, because what we want to do is we really want to encourage you, if you have some questions, to definitely check the LMS migration page here in the Saybrook Commons, because that's going to answer a lot of questions that you have. So let me go here really quickly and walk you guys through this. By a show of hands, or maybe by here in the poll, I'm going to create a poll for us really quick. You know what, that's going to take a bit of time, so I am going to actually not do that, because it takes a little bit more time a little bit more involved than I thought it was. But by show of hands, if there is a way to raise hands here, sometimes there is, or just by typing yes or no here in the chat window, how many of you have actually been to the Canvas migration page here? Okay, great. All right. So you've got a couple people. You see Daniel's been here. Well, this is the page for the migration. I'm going to go ahead here and show my screen. The web address is up here at the top. It's at your Commons. It's the Canvas migration page. So you see the email address here. And what I'll do is I'll copy and paste that into the notes in case people don't have that particular link. So that link will be available to you. But there are some really great things here as far as Canvas is concerned. You've got a getting started area. You also have, the great thing about Canvas is a lot of the features come with videos pre-made by Canvas that can give you some information. There are some frequently asked questions about the migration and the switch from Moodle to Canvas. So there talks about technical support, any changes that you're going to have. There's information, a lot of information here about our training sessions, and this is one of those that's happening today. And it gives you the ability to RSVP for those sessions. There is another section here that says, it gives a comparison of what you used to have in Moodle and how it is in Canvas. So I encourage you to go and take a look at those links. There are some additional Canvas resources available for you. There's lots and lots of help pages and lots of videos. That was one of the reasons why we chose Canvas, because of all that information. There's information here about webinars, and this one here right now is being recorded today. So we'll be able to stream recording sessions so you can see them. And then there's a list of the team members who are involved in the Canvas migration, as well as links to their email addresses. So I encourage you guys to take a look at those and take advantage of those. And if, like I said, we're going to take some breaks for any questions. Um, so if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the questions window. And I see that some people said you didn't know it existed. Well, I am so happy that I was able to show it to you. It's really a plethora of information. So I'm really glad that you guys were able to see it today. And if you have any other questions, Monica, or anybody here, let us know. But that's right there for you. You can register for additional training. You can look at frequently asked questions. There's the one thing that I just absolutely love is the resource pages, because it gives you so many things that you can read about that should you have questions, and it might actually keep you from having to, make a technical assistance call or speak to a technical person on the team, because there's just so much here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead over here and I'm going to change the presenter to Dion. Dion is going to start the training. She's going to stop and ask if you guys have questions from time to time. And then all you have to do is just log your questions here as well. And we'll answer those during the break, or you can write them down and we'll turn on the mics during the training session. Okay? Thanks, Dion. You can go ahead and take it away.
Tracy, that was a great introduction. I really found that helpful to look at that My Favorite website and see the resources that you guys have provided as opportunities to support their implementation of Canvas. So thank you for taking time to do that. Like Tracy mentioned, my name's Dion Johnson, and this is me. I've taught for over 20 years in a variety of settings, K-12, private vocational college, community college, and the university level. I have my master's from Gonzaga, teaching at-risk students, and my PhD from Utah State University in instructional technology. And I really feel so fortunate to work for Canvas because it combines two of my favorite things, which would be education and technology. And thank you for taking 2 hours on your Friday afternoon to spend with me learning about Canvas and how to better reach your students and your needs. This is the third training I've done for TCS, specifically for this client. And the feedback has been sporadic in the sense of, I just want to make sure that we're utilizing our time together today in covering the things that will be most meaningful and beneficial for you. For instance, one of the feedback, some of the feedback that I received was regarding quizzes, that's not a feature that you will most likely be using. If that's the case, I don't even feel like we need to cover quizzes. I might just point out that they're there. But so I will be polling about every 10 or 15 minutes just to see if this is topics that we should be covering. And Tracy, as the panelist, I can't see people raising their hand or comments or questions. So if you'll just be my eyes and ears for the other people that are participating in the webinar today, I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, I certainly will, and I'll ask the questions, and that way, because I know sometimes when I'm presenting, a question pops in, I get a little taken distracted. So I will, when we stop for the question and answer breaks, that's when we'll address all the questions. Okay?
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Great.
So our typical agenda for instructor training covers this material, and I'll again just be polling you to see how much the depth you want in these different topics. But I'll show you Canvas terminology just so that we're on the same wavelength with that, how to customize your profile and your notifications and receive help from Canvas. We'll look at the home page, modules, which another terminology for that might be units, just to make that a little bit clearer, as well as how to create assignments using the rich content editor, associate rubrics with assignments. I'll quickly cover the gradebook and SpeedGrader, as it's my understanding that there's more qualitative feedback that your students receive versus getting actual grades. We'll look at the syllabus, calendar, discussions, and ways to communicate within Canvas, and finally the quizzes, files, and people, App Center, and analytics. These are kind of some of the higher level concepts there. So Canvas terminology, I'm going to just open up a different window right here. I've already logged into a course. Oops, that's not what I want. Move this little screen out of my way. So I've already logged into a course. Yours will look similar depending upon the content and what classes you're working with and what capacity. But this screen right here is called the dashboard. This area right here shows you the recent activity. So if you have new announcements that have taken place, that'll be indicated with a 1 in the circle. That means there's one new announcement. When I click on that area, it expands, and then I can see the different announcements that are there. If I want to remove those announcements, I simply click on the X and that disappears. Same thing with assignment notifications, discussions, etc. On the right-hand side, this gray area is referred to as the sidebar, and again, this will change depending upon what screen you're at and the location. If you're creating a course, if you're working on an assignment, but there will usually be a sidebar with some of the kind of quick things that you'll most likely need depending upon your location. The top area, mine's gray. Yours at some point, I don't know if it's been branded or not, but at some point you'll have your own branding with your company logo and color scheme. This is the global navigation. So it's referring and directing you to all of your courses in every capacity. So I happen to be a teacher in all of mine, but if I was taking a class as a student, then it would show enrolled as a student. If I had children that were enrolled in a Canvas course and I was a parent and my information was linked to that particular course for my child, then it could show I was enrolled as an observer. We also have a teacher assistant. So depending upon your role, that will change right there. Right now, mine has 2 columns because in addition to having courses, I also have an admin account. So this second column here is dependent upon that. When you create groups for your students, or if you're enrolled in groups for courses that you're teaching or as a student, then another column can pop up showing groups. As I hover over assignments, this makes it super easy for me to go in and quickly grade whatever items need to be graded. For students, it will show assignments that they need to submit. Clicking on grades there will take me to all of my courses that I'm managing and show me my grades for all of my courses. And the calendar is also a global calendar. And I'll show you that feature a little bit later in today's training, that you can see how, especially for students, it's very helpful to see all of their assignments when they're due, conferences, and any items such as events or assignments that are residing on the calendar. Just to show you a little bit more about the terminology, I'm opening up an Art History 2210 class. This left-hand side of the screen is the course navigation. And note that some things are black, other items are grayed out. As an instructor, you're able to control and present what options and links you want your students to have access to. So this is navigation for this specific course. Again, note on the right-hand side, you've got the sidebar, which has changed. Another way that students can navigate within the course, besides using the course navigation, is this breadcrumb area up here. So notice that it's changing depending upon where I'm at within the course. And this allows the student to kind of step out of their location one page at a time. Now I'm looking at pages. I click on here and I'm back to the Art 2210 homepage course. If I click on that little house there, it takes me back to the dashboard. Another way for students to get back to the dashboard, or instructors, any user, is to click on the logo up here in the top right hand corner, and that will take you back to the high level of your dashboard. Let's look in the top right hand corner for a moment. And I'm not sure if you guys are sitting at a computer and if you can follow along with this or not. Tracy?
Sorry. What were you saying? Hello? Can you hear me?
I'm just wondering if the participants are speaking. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. You shared your screen, right?
I believe so. Let me pull that back up. Yeah, my screen's showing. Can you not
Okay,
see my screen?
no, okay, that probably would be better question to ask participants. Are you all able to see the screen that she's demonstrated on? They would like you to go full screen because it's a bit small. So you notice how you've got it and you've got some of your desktop left. So if you could blow that window up as much as you could, that would be great.
Is that better?
Yeah, yeah, it's better. Also, you can do view in full screen by clicking the little square. There's an underscore, a square, and an X in the upper right-hand corner of the GoToWebinar viewer. But be very careful because they're very close together. But if you click the little square, you can blow it up even more for yourselves. Okay? How is that? Monica, are you seeing it better now? And are you able to blow it up on your end? Wonderful. Great. All right. Okay,
And
go
Tracy, have
back to it.
participants been given a sample course that they can manage their account, or is this their first exposure to Canvas?
Well, the system is live for our entire education system. So I'm not quite sure. That might be one question I could ask about the sandbox. Have somebody said yes, they have access to the system. So yes, as I was made aware, it's live for everybody.
Okay. And I guess my other question is, are people their intention to follow along and do some of these tasks as I lead them through?
Well, it's probably it depends on how you constructed the training. If that's what you want them to do, you most certainly could ask them. But I was not aware it was going to be a hands-on thing. I was aware it was going to be just more of a demonstration. I know that for maybe some of the people, unless they have a double monitor, it might be hard for them to toggle back and forth. So do any of you all have the system open? You can go ahead and type in the question window or in the chat window. You don't have to use the question panel for in just regular things, responses. You can use the chat window because it's a little hard to see here in the questions because they only come up one by one. But if you all would like to, this is Daniel's first time using the system. So there may be people that are not really exposed to Canvas this yet. It might be a little bit more distracting than it would be a benefit at this point.
Okay.
And just I have a couple questions here, but I'll let those wait. Or did you want to answer some questions since we are at this break?
Sure.
Well, one person did comment that if they could do things, that's best. If you can sign into Canvas and you can toggle back and forth, or you can shrink one window and have another one open, that's fine. But some people have double monitors, but I wouldn't want to delay the training by them trying to sign in if they haven't had exposure before. But I will find out from Sean, are people supposed to be working along? It was not that's something that I was aware of.
Typically, it's more of a presentation and demonstration versus hands-on.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah.
We're trying to follow along.
Yeah, well, that's my thing. As far as I know, it was presentation, and I wouldn't want to, at this point, that might derail the actual training if we go and have them start trying to follow along. Okay.
Any other questions that we should answer while we're at this break?
Somebody was asking, somebody said they haven't had access yet, and I'm really trying to blow this window up because I can't expand the question window and go to meeting. So I'm having a hard time reading them. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of these people are, this is the question that we asked. Somebody asked, does Canvas work with every browser? And it should, but I'm going to let Dion, I'm going to defer that question to you.
That's a great question, and I opened up a new tab, and I'm going to type in, I went to guides.instructure.com, which is our help area, and I'm going to pull up the area for supported browsers. And one of the links right there is which browsers does Canvas support. And they update this, I believe, I want to say once a month, but they stay on top of this. So you can see as of last month, March 6, 2014, they support Internet Explorer versions 9, 10, 11, and that IE 9 will no longer be supported as of next month. Chrome 32 and 33, Safari 6 and 7, Firefox 26 and 27, Flash 10, 11, 12, specifically if you want to use the audio and video recording, and Respondus Lockdown browser. So it is important to be somewhat current with your browsers. Any other questions on there, Tracy?
Going here, unfortunately, I apologize. This screen, it will, let me unlock this. Much better. I'm going to blow this up because I'm having a hard time seeing. All right. Somebody was asking what is in course materials. Richard, could you explain that a little bit more, because I'm not exactly sure what you mean. So if you could put down there in the chat window. The chat window should be right the last window down here in the webinar. If you click the little orange arrow, the screen blows back up again, and you should be able to type questions there on the bottom, just like in any other GoToMeeting. But I'm not sure what you mean by what's in course materials. I'm finding that somebody's asking about the differences between roles. Noah, I'm not sure I understand what you mean about the differences between roles. Are you talking about administrative rights, like a teacher versus a student versus an administrator in Canvas? And yes, Bob, yes, you can choose the student view. So, Dion, when we start back up again, can we show them how to do student view versus instructor view?
For sure. Yeah, we'll definitely, that's covered.
Okay, and there is somebody who said that they do use quizzes. So if we could show them that very briefly. Okay. Some instructors here do use quizzes. And let's see what we've got here. Sign in later and play with it. I will ask about a sandbox for you guys, and you guys should get an email. There's got to be a place where you guys can sign in. I thought you were live already, but it seems to be that you haven't had a lot of exposure. And Richard, has the audio gotten any better for you? If you could just let me know. If the audio's gotten any better. All right. And we're not asking you to go into Canvas for, okay, thanks Richard. And Ruth, I see 135 here. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. So, well, no, we're not going to ask you to go into Canvas today. That was not something that I was made aware of before the training started. So, basically, somebody wants to see the quizzes. That's really important. You've answered the question about the browser. And I think, and then somebody would like to know about roles, like administrative roles, I believe. But I would hope that Noah, you could give me a little bit more to go on as far as roles, because I'm not sure what you mean by that. But I would assume that you're talking about security and administrative roles, and you haven't had any exposure to Canvas. Okay, so this is your first session. You should be receiving information, I guess, to log into the system soon, but they didn't give that information to me. But I will take your concerns back to our team to find out when you guys will get access to Canvas. And if you keep checking that migration port, you'll be able to see when that's going to happen. I know that Saybrook recently joined our education system, so they must not have been in this initial migration to Canvas, which is understandable if they've just become part of our team. Okay? So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Dion, and let you continue the training. Okay?
Sounds great.
Thank you.
In the top right-hand area, that's this section I'm going to cover next. If you click on your name when you're logged in, then that takes you to information that's relevant to you as a user. Whereas before, over on the left-hand side, we were looking at course navigation. Now we're looking at things that pertain to my specific account. So you can see in the sidebar here on the right-hand side, I've listed 2 different email addresses that I would like Instructor to use to contact me. I can obviously add another one, or I can hit delete if those addresses become irrelevant. I can also add another contact method with my cell phone if I wanted to put my cell phone number in and fill out that form. It's important to be aware that that's only for Canvas to interact with that contact information. So for instance, you don't need to worry about students having access to your cell phone number if you decide that you want to receive a text message when an assignment's submitted. If students provide their cell phone information, it's not going to be visible to anybody within the course. The last button right there in the sidebar is Edit Settings, and that allows me to change my name, display name, sort, etc., change my password. As I move down towards the bottom of this screen, I've got a couple of different options of services that can be registered. You can see that I've registered my Google account. That allows me to do some collaboration using Google Docs, and I understand that that's a big portion of how your students interact. At least that was the case with the participants on Wednesday. So I'd highly recommend making that a priority. You can add your LinkedIn, Skype, Facebook, etc. And to register those services, you simply click on that item, register your Facebook account or whatever option that you desire, and then it'll ask for authentication, your username, etc. On the left-hand side, over here, which is typically course navigation, but now that we're in my profile, it's going to be profile navigation. The notifications tab is how you determine the frequency and in what way Canvas will contact you. I'm in Canvas every day, so I've actually turned off all of my notifications, but you can see it's broken down by course activity, discussions, conversations, etc. So if I want to be notified as soon as there's a discussion and I want to be notified right away, just simply click on that X. And notice that I have a column for one email address. I have a second column for my other email address. If I had my cell phone in there, there'd be a third email address, etc. Your options for notifications, you can be notified right away. The second option is a daily summary, and you have a weekly summary. And of course, the last one is to not be notified at all. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off as well. You may notice that Canvas is a little bit chatty, so this is how you can go in and control the amount of notifications that you receive. The next item is your inbox, which we'll cover a little bit later in today's training, settings, but I'm going to go ahead and show you the help area right now. You've got 5 different standard options that reside on the help area. You can ask your instructor questions, and that simply initiates an email with the instructor for that course. I'm going to hold down my command button so this opens up in a new tab, but you can choose to search the Canvas guides, which I was already there earlier in today's training to show you the supported browsers. All you have to do is type in your search words here, click search, and it will show you the results. Another nice thing that's available here, and I saw that TCS has actually provided some of those links directly from that resource page that Tracy showed you at the beginning of today's training. There's some options to provide support straight from here. So if I want to look at the instructor guide, I simply click on that. It pops open a lot of different questions, and these will all be residing within the website. And static information versus the last option underneath Canvas guides will take you to the video guides. and this will provide all types of video for administrators, instructors, students, etc. So often instructors will choose to have a couple of these overview or communication, some of these links for their students within the course. But it's my understanding that the instructional designers are going to do a lot of that setup for you. But it's just nice to know that those options are available to you as well. The third option is to report a problem. So occasionally Canvas will misbehave. If that happens, click on that link and you can put in your subject description. This will be sent to somebody in the technical support team at Instructor. I really like this option, anything from a casual question to something that's extreme critical, and depending upon that, they will get back to you in a timely manner. The last two options, you can ask the community. We have an active group of community users that are often in there kind of checking around what's happening within Canvas and willing to help people. So if you do have a question, when you click on that option, it will take you to the forums, and you can search for a question first using this area, or you can choose to ask a question. And note that there's 47 questions that need answered, and this is kind of interesting. When I click on the community forums, I think there's over 3,388 questions have been asked for the higher ed area, and 47 need to be answered. So you can see very active community. And we have a couple of Canvas coaches that monitor those boards as well to make sure that those questions are answered. The last option on the help area is to request a feature, and that will look similar to the Ask the Community area. The difference is if you have an idea of something that would make your experience better within Canvas, you can search here and see if there's already an existing request. If you don't find one, then go ahead and add a new item, and Canvas monitors this area to see where the energy would be best utilized so that our clients' needs are being met. Okay, we'll go back and see how we're doing on our PowerPoint just to make sure that we're on track. We looked at profiles, we looked at notifications, and the help area. We're going to go ahead and jump into a course. I'll go back to this demonstration course, Art History 2210. And again, it's my understanding that instructional designers will set this course up for you for the most part. I will just quickly show you that you can change the home page layout. Most opt for a page I'll design myself, but you do have other options. For instance, if you wanted to have an assignment list with the syllabus, click on that and it automatically populates. Here's my course syllabus. And as I scroll down, the bottom of the screen, I've got anything that has a date or an assignment associated with it. So you can see over here on the left, there's the date. These are hyperlinks. So when I click on that 3 discussion, it will take me to that discussion that has been set up just as a shell. There's obviously no discussion happening right there. Let's go back and change that homepage layout to the original design. And again, I guess, and this is the feedback that I got from the training on Wednesday night. People were like, we're not even going to really design our classes, so don't spend a lot of time on modules. So I won't spend a lot of time here, but I do want to show you how they're developed, and this is something that your students will access a lot. Some instructors prefer to think of the modules as units. This particular course is divided into week 1, week 2, week 3. Over here on the far right hand side of that module title bar, when I click on that, it's going to expand it and collapse. So these look like they don't have a lot of information, but when I expand them, you can see that they in fact do. These icons on the left indicate to the student what type of file or what type of link is this going to go towards. You have a little piece of paper looking icon, which is a wiki page. That's a page that's created within Canvas. And I'll show you what that potentially can look like. This one is just full of text, but you can add videos, you can add images, etc. Going back, this little A on a piece of paper indicates that that's an assignment. You've got a link showing that it's an external tool. Another assignment, that indicates that it's a discussion. You also have quizzes available to you. I like the creation of this particular model because it demonstrates the header that can be added. So here's a before class header, after class header, during class. This drop down on the gear icon over there, when I select add content, then you can actually pick those items that we just talked about. So an assignment, you can kind of see in the background that was the assignment. I can add a quiz, I can add a file, content page, a discussion, the text header, an external URL, or an external tool. So just to show you the process with one of these, I'll add an external URL. I'm going to grab that URL and copy it, and then I will paste that in this area and type in what I want the page name to be. I can choose to indent or not indent, and I'll add that item. I'm going to start in the middle of the module just to show you the navigation that happens when you create your content using modules. So when I click on discussion, notice at the bottom of this page I've got previous and next. So it will toggle me in a sequential order throughout the course. The next item is the quiz, and the next item is that outside URL that I added. Now, you can see that there's not any content area or content in this screen, and I picked this particular one on purpose to show you something that Chrome instigated about 6 months ago. Notice up here in the address bar I've got HTTPS, meaning that it's a secure server. If you're linking to any resources that haven't met the protocol for Chrome to determine that it is safe, your students will get a screen that looks like this. And at that point, you'll have to decide if you want to educate them or not. And by that I mean up here in the top right-hand corner in the address bar, it says that this page includes script from an unauthenticated source. If I click on that, I can choose to load that unsaved script. And now that image will pop up in this window, and they can actually access and navigate that information straight within Canvas versus going to an outside source. You'll have to decide. Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Is it just Chrome, or does Firefox and IE do that as well?
Firefox does something similar. The link for it is over here on the left-hand side. And I haven't been an Explorer user for a long time, so I can't answer about Explorer.
With security issues. What I will tell everybody here is, as an instructional designer, what we do as a workaround is we put some sort of picture on a page. We'll put it in a page instead of a link. So I can probably show you after this demonstration. What we do is we, if it's not a secure page, we make a page, right, rather than the actual website, and it's got a picture, maybe a screenshot of the website. You click the link and you then go to the website, because often people will get that bookmark, get that that blank screen and not really know what to do with it. So we pretty much avoid putting web links in unless they are the HTTPS. If they're not going to show up in the window and somebody's going to have to do something extra, we figure out a different way to display the link.
Perfect. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and remove that from the module since it's not even applicable. Another interesting thing about modules,
It is
I'm going
applicable,
to,
but only in the cases of the secure web pages. Did you hear me?
I heard applicable, and that's the only word I heard. I think there
Okay.
was more there.
Yes, there is. It is applicable. Like most of the time, we're going to be helping staff members design their courses. So if we see as an instructional designer that student's going to get a blank window, we figure out that workaround. So it is applicable in the cases of the secure web pages. So we will be using the link feature. We just will only be using it for secure web pages.
Yeah. And I think that's a great workaround because a lot of students, if they encounter that blank page, would just think, it's not important, or, they just would gloss over it. So that's great.
Right.
I clicked on modules and then did edit just to show that there are some options. You can lock a module until a given date. You can add a prerequisite. So if you want a student to complete module 1 before they go into module 2, then you can add that prerequisite there. And you can also define what is meant by a module being complete. So in this particular course, that was set up that a student needs to complete module 1 before they move on to module 2. That's a prerequisite for module or week 2. And module 1 is complete when they contribute to this discussion. But you can see there's a lot of different options there, and they can contribute or submit, etc. In addition, it's been set up that they need to go to the quiz and they have to score at least an 8. You also have the option to force your students to work through the module in sequential order by clicking there. I feel like that's a good overview with modules without spending too much time there. Tracy, will you just poll and see if there's any other questions about modules or how they're feeling about the pace of the course?
I'm sorry, but I am very unfamiliar with the polling feature in GoToMeeting. I just was given this assignment yesterday. I've not used GoToWebinar. I've only used GoToMeeting. So I'm not really sure how to create a poll on the fly.
Oh, that's fine. You just have them use the chat. Just
Yes,
there's a couple
but they
you want to
can't
get
see the
back.
chat window for whatever reason. So you can post anything in the question section. I'm not. They said that they're not it's not enabled here. I'm not sure why they're not seeing the chat window. Not at all.
On mine, I noticed that if I hit the green, well,
The green. No, they're all muted now. I can take them off of mute, I believe. I can take everybody off of mute so that they can speak if they wish. There's 101, and I can unmute everybody so that they can talk. If you'd like to do that, we could take a break. People can raise their hands and ask questions.
sure, let's just do that for a quick minute.
All right, great. It won't let me. Yeah, there's the chat windows. You're actually in the questions window. You're not in the chat window. You're posting things in the questions window. Not sure why I'm not able. I can allow individuals. So if you want to speak and ask a question, all you have to do is raise your hand by hitting the little hand button right above the names list, right over to the left and above, and then I can unmute your microphone and you can speak. So if you want to raise your hand or type in the window that you have a question. Yeah, I tried that too. As far as the chat, let's see. I can, if you click view, there's file options, view, and help at the top of the screen, and one of the selections is chat. So if you don't have a check mark next to chat, then you should click that so that you're able to use the chat window. Deanna, I'm going to unmute you. Don't even know how that happened. Okay. Can you speak now, Dion? Oh my goodness. Well, you're unmuted. You've muted yourself. You've got to unmute yourself. Click on your own microphone. It says here that
There
you.
it is.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Okay.
That's okay. Like I said, there's not an option for a chat window in the viewer bar. I'm not sure why not. I don't have that option turned off. It is available down here. Dion's using it. I'm using it. While she's continuing the training, I'll keep digging. But if you have something you want to say, please feel free to put it in the questions here, and I will. I'll try to see what's going on with the chat window. Not sure what's going on, but I'm getting some links here and some information for some people, so I'll dig it up. So I'll be looking for that while you continue the training. Okay.
Okay. So we've covered the home page, we've covered modules. Let's look at a specific assignment and how to create a specific assignment. I'm going to go ahead and create a module, week 4, and I usually put my initials there just so that I know I've added it, because this is a course that a couple of people use for demonstration. Then I know what to go back and delete. I'm going to add content straight from the module. You can do this a number of ways. You can add it from the calendar. You can go to assignments and create an assignment there. But let's go ahead and create down here at the bottom a new assignment. And I'm going to call this essay and my name. And I can click on that exact assignment. And it's pulled up the shell or the placeholder for this essay that I would like to create an assignment. I'm going to go ahead and edit. And notice now that this brings me to the rich content editor. That's the name for this area right here with the formatting toolbar. And there's some things that should look familiar to you: bold, italic, underline, change the font color. You can highlight text, you can erase formatting, work with your alignment. There's a couple of ones that may not be as familiar. For instance, you have the opportunity to insert tables. You can adjust the table from that point. And if you notice, when I clicked on table, you have the option to change your columns, rows, your cell padding, spacing. So if you want to make it more in depth at that point, then you can. I'm going to try something right there. You can add hyperlinks. So if you remember from that home page, maybe I should just show you. Well, I'll create it from scratch. There were images on that home page within a table, and then they linked those images to a specific area in Canvas. So there is a free tool out, and I'll just mention this. I don't know if this is something that would be familiar or useful for you or not. But there's a website called The Button Factory where you can quickly type your text. You can change the font style. You can add shadow. You can do any sort of colors. Maybe you want it to reflect your school colors. Add border. Anyways, after you've got your button looking the way you'd like it to look, you can simply download that button, and it quickly and is free, makes the button for you to utilize in your courses. Then you simply upload that image, upload a new image after saving it to your desktop. So we'll use one that was already created, and I'm going to, I guess, give you the quiz button 3 times. It wasn't doing it as quickly as I thought it should. So I've created a button here called Quizzes. When I click on that, I can choose to have a link to an outside URL if I'd like, Or this one, it makes the most sense to link to quizzes within the course. So I clicked on links, the left-hand tab on this sidebar. Then I'm going to drop down here and expand quizzes. And I'd like quizzes to be the whole entire quiz list, not necessarily one particular quiz. So by clicking on that arrow, it's added a link, you can see that up there, to the quiz list. Some people like to do that and have something linked to their syllabus. So maybe I'll type in syllabus here. And I can't type and talk at the same time. You highlight that text and then simply drop down to where it says course syllabus. And now that's a link to the course syllabus. Some of the other meanings of the icons up here, this allows you to embed an image. I can do it in the table or I can do it out of the table. We'll just add an image down below. You've got 3 options to include an image. You can do an outside URL. You can add an image from a Canvas file. And note that it's already organized for you with 2 different files. We've got course files and my files. My files is information that's associated with my profile. So if I've added pictures to my personal account, I can. The only one I have is my profile picture for mine. I keep my course files in the course file area. The third option to include an image is to click on Flickr, and it will look for images that have the Creative Commons licensing. So this is an art history class. Click on that, search, and then I can add whatever image I'd like. You do have the option to resize after you've added it, or if you noticed, you can set the height and width from the uploaded image screen. The next icon is the math equation editor, and that not only has math equation icons here or information, but Greek letters as well, or operators. So if there's something that you need typed in to your rich content editor and it's not on the keyboard, it's nice to come here and see if you can add it. The next couple of icons are dependent upon going to the App Center. And because this is an existing course, the first one is a link to Open Tapestry. The next one is for K-12. You can see I've got Khan Academy, YouTube. So there's a couple of different apps that have been downloaded to this particular course. Those can be added at the course level, or for instance, if your math department has a subscription to maybe a graph builder app, then they can add that at a sub-account level. And this isn't something that you just need to know how it works, not actually how to do it. But that can be added at the sub-account level so that everybody in the math department has that showing up on their rich content editor. I don't know if that's anything that would be relevant for you to use or not. I'll show you Khan Academy just so that you get the idea of how to include image from an app. For this one, I just find whatever math resource I think will be helpful. Click on that, and it automatically has enabled that information to be showing up on your screen. The last icon is the Kaltura Media Recorder, which allows you and students to record and upload media, which is super great from their laptop, or if their phone, if they have recording capabilities there, an iPad. All they have to do is click on that. You need to allow the Adobe Flash Player, and then you can choose what type of recording, whether it's going to be with your webcam or just audio. After it's recorded, you simply click on Upload Media, and it will process through and lead the student or yourself through the process of uploading that media. You do have some options with your assignments below. If you're going to assign points, then you add the points. You can specify what assignment group that's going to fall under. These are all assignment groups that have been set up for this particular course, but you have complete control over how many and what type of assignment groups you'd like to have with your course. You can choose how you're going to display the grade, whether it's percentage, complete, incomplete, letter grade, or maybe not graded at all. This one's super critical, so if you were spacing out for just a moment, come back to me. And this submission type is really important. I wish the default was set as online, but it's not. Of course, that's how most people are opting to utilize Canvas, is to have online submission, but it could be on paper in class, or it could be an external tool. But I'll show you online submission, because with that you have 4 different options. You can do text entry, and I'm actually going to select all of these, and then I'll log in as a test student so you can see that functionality and see how students will have that experience. Tracy, it sounded like you had a question you wanted to ask.
I just put it in the chat because we actually, unfortunately, it seems to be that just the presenters have the chat feature. I'm not sure why, because it is selected for you all here. But Dion, is there any reason why that is, and do you know if they're going to change that for in future updates that should be set to online? Because it does make the most sense.
It does make the most sense. And I actually had lunch on site yesterday and talked to somebody about that. I think it just hasn't surfaced to the top of their priority list, but
yeah, that's kind of important for us developers. They probably won't have that issue because we'll be designing all of the assignments. However, it's good for them to know this, because in case they need to make some edits or add an assignment or something like that, it is important. So I'm glad you showed that to them, because that is one of those things that, while Canvas is a really awesome system, that's one of those things you really got to pay attention to.
And it looks like Ruth has raised her hand, because now I can see the participants, whereas I couldn't 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I turned that on. I had no idea that was turned off by default. Once again, another default that's not good. So I turned that back on when I went in there, because I was trying to find the chat window, which has been enabled. It's just not working for some reason. So you say Ruth has her hand up and has a question. Let me go to the attendee list, and I will take her off of mute so she can ask the question, okay?
Perfect.
Hello?
Hi, Ruth.
Oh, my goodness, there you are. Okay, well, I think we're going to need to practice this a lot, but I would like to see how students would post papers and how we would post particular resources in a course. I think you did the latter.
Well, great. And you know what, it's almost like I paid you to ask that question, because that's where I'm headed next.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, so as I was saying, it's important that your submission type, that you're paying attention to that and change it to online if that's what you'd like your students to do. And you'll typically only select one of these so that your students are all submitting a text or website or media or doing a file upload, because I'm not sure how the feedback I've heard from other users is that it won't allow students to submit 2 different types. So I think it's better for the student experience to just narrow it down to the one that you'd like them to do, and then they're not trying to upload a text entry and a file, if that makes sense. When I selected file upload, you have the option to restrict upload file types. And depending upon what the assignment is, of course, you may or may not want to use the annotation system. So Canvas has partnered with a company, and their tool is called Crocodoc Annotation System. And that is available if it's a Word document, PDF, an Excel spreadsheet, and I believe there's one other file type. But if you want to use that, you need to restrict the file upload. So for this particular assignment, I'm going to pretend that I would like my students to have a doc or a PDF. There's 2 other options down here, group assignment or peer review, if you want to require those. You can add a due date, and then you can select when it's available if you want them to look at it a week before it's due or 2 weeks before, and when do you want that to not be available. I'm going to go ahead and update this assignment.
I'm sorry, it's such a lag. Our default, the designers just do the due date, but I did want to add something that restrict the, if you go back to the edit mode,
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about restricting file types, a good example is if you want them to put up a media recording, or if you don't want them to put up a media recording. Say it's a media recording. I have students that I'll tell them to put up either MP3 or an audio file, and they'll send me text entries. So that is a way to really lock down what you want them to turn in.
And while I'm here on this particular assignment, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to add a rubric. And I don't know, are rubrics something that most of you will use when you're grading?
For our online classes, we are requiring rubrics for assignments. Most of the time when the course is designed, we work with a subject matter expert to create those rubrics so that the instructors don't have to.
Okay, perfect. Rubrics to me are fabulous. I love rubrics. An important part to realize, if you are creating a rubric at this exact point, it'll be associated with this assignment. So my preference when I'm creating rubrics, I like to have them very general and to save some time, and then it lets students know every essay I'm looking for these 5 key points. And then I can add some additional information for that specific assignment if I'd like. So rather than creating the rubric from here, I'll just quickly find a rubric. And because this is an essay, I'm going to select this particular rubric, and I'll click on Use This Rubric. Notice that this says it's 20 points, but up here it doesn't have any points available, so you want to make sure that those reconcile. Usually we'll actually populate or pull up a little pop-up saying that they don't reconcile. I'm not sure why it didn't at this point. But note that you could add criterion at this point, or you could adjust the points. Another little thing that I wish, if I had 2 wishes for Canvas, it would probably be these 2. That it always requires online submission, or that's the default. And then I wish that this checkbox was a default. Use this rubric for assignment grading. And I'll show you why that becomes important in just a few moments. You can choose to freeform comments when you're assessing students. That might be something that would be, based on the feedback that I've gotten from Sean, that might be more applicable for your content and courses. I'm going to go ahead and update that rubric. Oh, and there's that pop-up. This assignment has 0 points. Do you want to change it to 20 points to match the rubric? I'll go ahead and do that versus changing the rubric. And at this point, I want to go in and show you what it looks like for a student. And this points out how in tune Canvas is with their users. Somebody suggested that they create this feature to easily allow teachers to log in as a student and see it from the student view. So they created that by going to Settings, the bottom link on the left-hand side.
Also, Dion, under criteria, they could put a lot more than just one line. So, more evaluative comments. Those are just samples. Your criteria can be, quite detailed in the criteria section in the rubric.
Absolutely. So I clicked on Settings on the course navigation on the bottom left-hand side of the pane there. I'm going over the top right, the sidebar where it says Student View. And now notice in the top right-hand corner, it says that I'm logged on as test student. The other indication that I'm looking at this course from a view as a student is I have the option the bottom left, or the bottom right, excuse me, to leave student view. So I'd like to look for that assignment that we created. To do that, I'm going to go to Modules, and there's that assignment that I created. Sometimes students aren't looking for Submit Assignment on the right-hand side of the sidebar. So that's something that sometimes is missed. It seems like students look for it down here at the bottom. I'm going to click on Submit Assignment. And do you remember that there were 4 different online submissions? Because I selected all 4, I have a tab for each of those. And I'm going to start on the right and work to the left simply because I ultimately want to choose File Upload. So you can allow students with the media that they would just click on that Record Upload Media, and that would give them the audio or video upload. If there's a website URL that you'd like them to link, they can paste that here, and they can add comments to that assignment as well. If you click on text entry, then that brings up the rich content editor. Students have the same access to everything that you do when you're creating your course pages. So they could create a document here and then add comments to it as well. File upload. I'm going to show you when I click on choose file. I just want to select a PDF, and then a student can add a comment here. So this actually initiates an email associated with this file if they choose to add a comment here. So I've selected my PDF file and then added a comment, and I'll submit that assignment. Takes just a minute, and then you get a confirmation with a green check mark that that submission was turned in. If a student's not happy with what they submitted or they selected the wrong file, they do have the option to resubmit that assignment. So I'm going to leave student view, and notice up here under assignments, now I have that essay-dj as an assignment to grade. If I click on SpeedGrader, notice that I'm at that essay-dj assignment still. Then this pops up SpeedGrader. And I'm debating whether, I just looked at the time, usually I give people a 5-minute break at 2 o'clock. Would you guys rather continue on and cover grading, or do you want to take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back and cover grading as well as the rest of the content for today?
Everybody's indicating that, well, we've got 2 people that wants to say they want to break, and 2 people want to continue. Some people want to take a 5-minute break. If you do need to step away, you know, to go to the restroom or something like that, that's fine. The session is being recorded, but most people here want to continue. There are some questions while we're here taking a stop really quick. Is there, and this is something that I heard was a feature, but I wanted to make sure, Dion, automated function for linking semester weeks and then dates for the assignment. So for example, when we set up the due dates in a master course for the first time the course is being offered, we do put in the due dates for the assignment as it would fall in that term. And then that's the subject matter expert will indicate, you know, is this module 1, and module 1, the dates for module 1, module 2, module 3, continuing. We have been advised that the next time this course ports into the system, the dates will automatically be adjusted. Is that true, Dion? Or does that have to be set up by the instructor every term?
No, they'll automatically be projected out. You just, when you export or import a course, you can select the term date. So maybe, you know, it's August 24th, and then the next time the term is January 3rd.
Mm.
It'll just, everything will fall out a week after the term or 2 weeks after the beginning of the term.
Well, like for each assignment, those specific dates.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
great. So then there's Richard was asking about adding material. So what I'm going to do, and you have to I have to apologize right now. You guys are in alphabetical order. Richard, I'm going to turn on your microphone. You're asking a question, and I'm not sure I quite understand what you're getting at. So I'm going to turn your mic on. Can you hear? Can you hold on?
Can you hear me?
Hi,
Yes.
Richard.
Is that Richard? Yes. Great, Richard. Yeah.
Yes, this is Richard.
Mm-hmm.
You keep going by a button that's crucial to me because I have to add PowerPoint presentations to the courses, and I have to keep changing them. In the teacher's version of the course, there's a big button on the screen that says add content or something like that.
Richard, may I ask you a quick question? Are you teaching a completely online course, or are you teaching one that's blended, or are you teaching or you can be teaching on-ground courses? Because that might make the difference.
Our courses are all entirely online.
Okay, usually, when a master course is set up, you'll give all of those PowerPoints to the instructional designer, and we'll make sure they're in the course. But you did make a mention that your PowerPoints would be changing. So when you say changing, what do you mean?
Well, we keep updating our course material.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the director of the psychophysiology doctoral concentration within clinical psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a number of instructors. Virtually all of us teach from pre-recorded PowerPoints mixed in with live sessions with the students.
Okay.
But we keep changing the PowerPoints as new material becomes available, as new discoveries are made.
Well, you know,
so nothing that your experts put into our courses is likely to remain that way for the entire semester. So we need to know how to put this on.
Okay. Well,
I'm beginning to see who the people are that are here.
Uh-huh.
Is this correct? Ruth Richards is here, Sean Rubin and Tony are here?
Yes.
Travis is here?
Yes. The people's names in the list who are attending are here in the meeting. Richard.
Okay, Tony, Sean Rubin is director of clinical, well, he's head of clinical psychology. Tony is our administrator. Ruth Richards is, you know, from another section, but all of us have similar information that we have to update.
The ability to do that is in there. We'll have Deanne show it to you. It depends on the institution, okay, how that stuff is updated. And so that's kind of like outside of the realm of Canvas. Usually, it's not changing from during the term. It usually changes for the next term, and an update request is sent to the instructional designer. And then once the course is in the system, it's up to the department whether they allow the staff to change the information that's in the master course. So you do have the ability to do that. She is going to show it to you, but not all departments are going to allow people to change things in their individual courses. So it just depends on the institution, and it depends on the particular department. But yes, if you guys have that as something you can allow people to do, she can show you how to change it. But like, for example, there are several different ways you can do something in Canvas. You know, you can post audio files, you can post a regular web page. There's different ways that you could upload materials. You can upload PDFs. So she can show you how to create a page, and she can tell you, that's one of the biggest things is you're going to want to show them how to create a page. You showed them how to do the web link, but I'm sure you showed them how to do the page, but you might want to go back over that because there's several different types of content that you can add. And I think that's what he's getting at. what types of content can you add, and how many different ways can you do so? Is that correct, Richard?
That's about 10% of it. The most important thing that I need to be able to do is take a PowerPoint presentation that's within a course, get rid of that particular presentation and replace it with an updated one.
Okay, in your courses right now, and that also depends on layout, because like I said, you can put up a file, and that would link to a PowerPoint file. I apologize, my phone's going off. Hold on just a second. I apologize. Sorry about that. It just depends on what you're doing, Richard. If it's a PowerPoint, there is a files section in Canvas, and what we do is we have a course files page that is in our course home with links to different files. So if you've linked the PowerPoints there, what you would do is you would then delete the link from that page, go into the files section, delete that PowerPoint, upload a new one, and put a new link in the course files page. It's really dependent on the design of the course, but you do have the ability to do it. It just depends on how you're presenting the information. If it's a file, if we delete the file from the file section, then that file is going to disappear from your menu, from the modules and all of the listing in the course. So say you have a PowerPoint presentation in Module 1, okay? And you see the link there, and it's a file, and it comes up as a file. If we delete that from the file section, it's going to delete from Module 1. So you'll just have to replace it. So basically he's asking how do you add and delete content.
That is true. Could you please demonstrate that?
Absolutely. And do you guys want me to take a break from I was feeling like I should finish grading and then go back and answer some of those questions that aren't at the topic right now? But I am happy to take a break and do it right now if you'd like.
I think that it would be best to finish out this section and then start fresh with the content adding and removal.
Okay. So let's finish up SpeedGrader and then or grades in general, and then we'll get right back to that question. Does anybody else have questions on the content that we've covered at this moment? And I am looking at the time and feeling like, our training's more than half done, and I've covered not quite half the content, so there is quite a bit of material left to cover. So we need to be mindful of the time as well. Okay.
What are the remaining topics that you want?
Tracy, I'll let you manage that end of
Dion, what are the remaining topics that are left to cover? So then maybe we can address the most important ones first.
So we're looking at assignments and the rich content editor and rubrics we've covered. Right now I'm on Gradebook and SpeedGrader. We still have the syllabus, calendar, discussions, different ways to communicate within your course, quizzes, and then files is where I would put that PowerPoint question, and people, the App Center, analytics, and then that's it.
Yeah, the App Center analytics, I think, that's something that we might not be able to cover during this, but I would want to move up the files portion, because that's one thing that they would do. They may or may not, they're not going to be setting up discussions, because the instructional designers do all of that. We put in all of the assignments, we put in all of the rubrics. They would need to know how to use the rubric to grade, per se, not how to design the rubric. They don't know how, for an introductory course, for putting up a discussion, not so much, but for viewing and replying to a discussion. So maybe those parts about the actual design we can skip and only go to the actual use of the product. The application of that.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
And that's where we're at right now, is learning how to use the SpeedGrader.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite features with Canvas. And earlier I mentioned that we're associated with Crocodoc, and you can see this little icon right here, powered by Crocodoc. If you've restricted the files and students have uploaded a PDF or a Word document or Excel spreadsheet, this option will pop up for you, which allows you to annotate this document. So if I want to make a comment about this particular intro paragraph, I can provide comments. I can use the drawing toolbar. You can even strike out text. So again, that's available if you have selected those file types. Otherwise, the document will just pull up. I want to explain this area of the speed grader. Notice that there's a solid outline around test student. That means that that student has submitted the assignment, but it's not yet graded, and you can see that down here. Whereas all my other students have a dashed line around the box in front of their name, showing that that assignment has not been submitted. When you grade it, you'll actually put a check mark in that box, or it'll happen for you automatically. Using SpeedGrader, I'm looking at each student's submission at a time using these arrows, but it's all relevant to this particular assignment. I associated that particular essay rubric with this assignment, so that's going to pop up here, and you can see that I'm looking at 4 different aspects of this essay, and then I can simply click on how well they did, whether they get full marks, partial marks, no marks. I also have the option right here to give them specific feedback on that one piece of criteria. So, excellent job on spelling and grammar. And I can update that comment. That's going to be associated with this particular file, but it will not generate an email. Once I hit save, that is automatically tallied up for me, their grade using the rubric, and then that file is released, or that grade is released to the student. So there's the comment about spelling and grammar. As a student, I submitted this. I worked really hard on this assignment and did my best work. If I want to respond back to the student, then I can add a comment. I can also attach a file if that's relevant. Please see the particular, incorporate this essay or whatever. I can also use media comments and upload some video there. A really helpful feature from SpeedGrader is this option to mute the assignment. What that will do is give you the opportunity to grade all of the assignments before the grades are released to every student. So it kind of puts them on hold. If you're looking at a batch of research papers and you want those all to be released at the same time for students, that's what mute assignment will help you do. This link right here will actually take you to the assignment, which is helpful when you're managing, a lot of students and a lot of different assignments coming in at different times, so that you can see what you required or asked the students to submit. From here, you can go back to the course home, and this link will take you to the gradebook, which I'll show you in about 10 seconds. I just want to make sure that you guys understand SpeedGrader. If there's any questions about those, if you could let Tracy know, then we'll answer any SpeedGrader questions at this time.
We've got quite a few questions here. Well, there are comments, unfortunately. They're saying since they deal with doctoral students, we do not grade students. Yeah, it's different with every institution, but there still should be a place for leaving commentary. We dealt with schools that did not assign particular number grades, so I'm not sure how that would work. That's going to be an off training conversation. So please understand that she's doing this from a standpoint, but where that's usually not done at most institutions. So we'd have to take that offline to discuss how that would be handled. Somebody else says that Abby Bloom has a question, but I'm not seeing the rest of the question. and she's rebooted. She can't figure out how to get in. That's a technical issue. Unfortunately, we can't take care of it right now, but maybe offline we can practice a go-to-meeting session with her, a webinar session with her to see if she's having some issues, because it may be an issue with her browser or her computer. There are certain things like Java, things like that, that might be interrupting her session, but we don't have any questions on the speed grader. But like they said, they're a graduate institution. They're not really dealing with points and grades. So if you want to show them the adding or removing content, that might be the better use of our time right now. We're going to have to take that offline. That's a completely different conversation about how to assess whether somebody's done the work. One of the questions I do want to ask you, Dion, is there a way to do, instead of doing points, complete or incomplete? Isn't there a way to do that in the grade book when you're setting up the assignment? So that might be a better option for them. So she's going to the assignments tab right now, the assignments thing, and so she's going to choose an assignment. And in editing, there are grading options. So you're not limited.
So I'm just pulling up that essay that we created, and I'll click on edit.
Right.
And show you that one of the options down here, instead of display grade as points, you can select complete or incomplete.
Right. So that might be the option that you all want to pursue. It just depends on, how you grade at your institution.
And then you don't have to have, you can delete that rubric if that's not applicable.
Right. It's dependent on the course, the institution, and their policies. So everybody please understand that she's doing more of what we call a vanilla training, things that really are specific to the institution. We can work on getting to you guys at a later time, okay?
Well, let's go back into modules and look at adding content. Well, let's upload a PowerPoint file first. So over on the left-hand side, you'll see the link that says Files. I highly recommend that you leave that gray so that it's not visible to your students. And I also recommend that you select to lock your file. If you don't, then anybody that has access to your course and has access to the files can click on any of your files. So I guess it depends upon how open you want essentially your online filing drawer to be. I'm going to click on Add Files, and let's see if I can find a PowerPoint file. We'll just look for. I think I'm going to choose a previous version. I don't know if they'll give me a hard time since I have that one open. But you can see that it's uploading one file right now. And there's that file. I'd like to show you that while we're here looking at files, you can drag files from the right-hand pane to the left. So if I want to create a new folder for PowerPoint files, and then I want that to reside within, I wouldn't, but if I wanted that to reside within the button folder, I could simply drag and drop that. And now I've got that PowerPoint file in my button folder. This was the file that I just added, so I'm going to click and drag that up into a PowerPoint file. And now from the modules, if I wanted to add a direct link to that file, here's the module that I created. We could select Add Content, and we're going to add a file.
Dion?
Yes.
Could we go over the different types really quickly from that drop-down menu? No, we'd have to be in it. Because I think that's one of the things that they want to know. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I think this is,
no, it's fine.
Okay, so if you click on File, if you click on the window, I'm sorry, the arrows, you get the drop-down list? No, the arrows to get the drop. If you go to add content,
So I'm in modules. I'm looking
right,
at week 4.
add
I'm
content,
going to correct.
yeah. Then you click that arrow, click the
And
arrow
you
to
can
drop down all the types. Right. So this is where, say for example, you're saying I need to add a file, I need to add a PowerPoint, if I need to add a page, say I need to put up a page with a list of reminders or a list of external links that are not in the master course. Or I want to add a discussion that's not part of the original course, but it's not graded, but we do want to have a discussion. Or you want to put in any of those things. If you want to add a quiz, this is where you select the different types, and each one of them are set up in different ways. So she's showing you, because you asked, how to set up the file. Yes, you can embed YouTube videos. It does it on the fly. Somebody just asked that question. Canvas is great. You put the link in, it automatically embeds it for you. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of make that, let them know it's just not a place to add files. Or all the different types of content in the course are addressed by adding an item.
So let's maybe just look at these, and let me cover them individually. So an assignment is something that you've created within Canvas to give your students, obviously, an assignment. A quiz is something that's created within Canvas, and depending upon how you have it set up, you can have it automatically grade or not. A file is something you've uploaded on your own. It can be a PDF, it can be a PowerPoint, it can be a Word document. It doesn't really matter. It will upload those files. And when I'm adding this content to week 4, when I'm adding it in this fashion, do you remember how there was previous and next at the bottom of the modules? Each time I'm adding content to a module, it's going to reside on its own page within a module. Where that would be, I guess, the difference, if you want to upload a content page, and I'll show you how to create a page in a few minutes if you'd like. That allows you to annotate your external URLs or provide annotation around content. And then you can upload a YouTube video into a page within Canvas and say, I'd like you to watch this 15-minute YouTube video and think about these 8 different things. It allows you to annotate content if you have a content page. But if you simply want to have them watch a video, then maybe using that external URL and just adding the URL for the YouTube video or the Vimeo video or wherever that resides. So you kind of have to think through the content a little bit and how much information you want to surround that around that one piece of information. Discussions are housed within Canvas, and then I imagine most of you have participated or seen a discussion where there's an original thought put up there, and then students can either each comment directly to that discussion, or it can be threaded where a student can reply to a comment that they replied to the original post. The text header just provides some organization. That was earlier I showed you that during class or after class it adds headers, and then of course the external URL or tool. So let me show you the file and content page, because I think those can sometimes be a little bit confusing, and just to show you what the end result looks like with those. So just to keep it quick, I'm going to add this instructor agenda PDF. And then we'll also create a content page. And we'll do a new one. So I'm going to start at the first link that was on that option, which was the essay that, or the assignment that we created together, the essay. When I click on next, this is downloading that instructor agenda PowerPoint. So it's presenting all the slides right there, and then you can look at the individual pages. You can toggle through one page at a time. The next button, I added a blank content page. So to edit this page, I could provide that same PowerPoint file and say, please review this PowerPoint, can't type, and whatever other instructions. And then under Files, I can look at course files. And I can add that PowerPoint right there within a content page. Or I could upload a PDF, or I could add a video. I don't know if I have a PDF right quick to see. We'll add a Word doc just so you can see what the end result looks like. And I don't know if there's a PDF in here. There's one. Are YouTube something that most of you will use in your class videos? I'm not getting any feedback, but I do feel I would like to show you the two different ways that you can add videos. I use the downloaded app that's associated with this course, and I just searched for art history and downloaded a YouTube video, or provided that link. Another way that you can add YouTube videos is to actually go to YouTube. I'll look for art history. When I click on that link, one of my options is to share.
This is the BBC.
And if I click on embed, it actually pulls up some HTML coding, which allows you to change the size of the file within and how the student will view that. So I just clicked on the HTML editor, and I'm going to add this to the bottom. And I know I'm going through this quickly, but it's because I don't know if this will be useful for you or not. And I know that it's being recorded, so you can come back and watch it.
Yeah, it's very useful to them.
Let's go ahead and look at it.
It's a little fast.
I'm going to log in as and intentionally so, because we're down to 20 minutes left in the course, and I would like to show them from student view what that content page looks like, so they can see what would be most applicable for them in getting different files to their students.
Now, I would like to ask, I thought if you just put the regular link in the visual editor, it would also automatically embed. Because I don't think that a lot of the people who are the end users are going to know how to put an embed link in HTML.
As instructional designers, won't you be adding most of those videos for them?
We will, but their concern is how do we add things later?
Right.
So I was just asking, if they put a YouTube link in a regular content page, would the video show up or just the link?
We can try it.
Yeah, because I've never done it. I always do the embed, so I don't know.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that it would just look at the brackets and just display that HTML coding. But we can look and see.
Okay.
So for a student, this was one way to upload a PowerPoint. And we looked at this before. They're looking at the various slides on there. And that was just simply adding a file as content to a module. The other option is to have a content page, and then you can annotate that content. So if they click on the instructor training at this point, it's downloading the file, or you can click on this link right here, and it will Oh, it downloaded it as well. No, this was the one I wanted to show you. If they click on the little magnifying glass, then it opens up within Canvas, and you don't have to download anything. That would be the same for this link, sample student work. It's using Scribd, and you can actually review that. They could do print, full screen, etc. No, I don't want to download it. There's the PDF that we uploaded. It would be the same thing as that Word document. And these two videos are actually the exact same video. One was downloading from the rich content editor that was at the top of the screen when I was editing the page. The other one was adding in the iframe information that I got over here on YouTube, this information. Personally, I like to have the video a little bit bigger. When you click on this for the student to play, it will enlarge it, but the aspect isn't maintained. So Richard, did that answer your question as far as how to upload a PowerPoint into a course after it's already been designed?
One of the questions that they had was, you know, you went, and this is how I usually do it as well as a designer, you went to the file menu, the file page, and you uploaded the file, then you linked it into the document. Can you show them how to do it live within the content page without having to go to the file menu first? So say, for example, you're doing the page, and you did please review this PowerPoint. And so we'll just wait for the edit screen to come up. So for example, you were going to go ahead here and put the cursor right up under that first sentence. And so for example, I type in sample PowerPoint. Okay.
Okay.
Then I highlight it and go to insert content onto the page.
Right.
Files. And then upload new file. That is how you do it, Monica. Just like you do any other upload. And then what's going to happen is, if she clicks on it, you're going to choose what folder in Course Files to do it. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to go and navigate and choose your file, as you always will. Any one of them, doesn't matter, yeah. And then the biggest important part, and I will stress this to you, is you click and choose a proper folder for it. So in Course Files, what we usually have, she has a PowerPoint folder, we usually have a folder for handouts, PowerPoint, for presentations. So you make sure you choose that folder. And then you hit upload. And it's going to upload. And it's going to be in the file section. It's going to be in that folder when you go back to get it. And then you just hit save. And yeah, so you can do it on the fly there. Does that answer your question, Monica? I haven't got an answer, but I think that's what she wanted to see.
Okay, and I didn't hear back from Richard. I'm hoping that that answered his question
Yes,
as well.
it did. He said it did. I apologize. I have the questions thing up. So yeah. So I think because we have a designer layer, and like, for example, for the syllabus, that also depends on the department. There will be a text version of the syllabus on that syllabus page. It will be in the course file section, and you will have links. And most of the institutions that we work with don't change that syllabus. They have standard syllabi, but it just depends on who you're working with. The calendar feature, that could be useful, but I think there's another feature here that probably is something we really want to get to. Discussions, I would like for you to show them how to use the discussion. They're familiar with just online discussions, but just how Canvas works in answering discussion questions and posting video or other media information to a discussion. I think that would be very helpful. Thank you. And I'm sorry, they have very specific needs, and, I've been a trainer, so I know how hard it is when you have, a basic course that people may or may not need the different pieces.
But I would rather be mindful of everybody's time and needs, so I'm fine to do it this way.
Cool.
I'm actually logging into a course that I'm facilitating just to show you some live discussions and what those look like. So this was giving students an opportunity to introduce themselves, and you can see here's one student's introduction. I want to see, oh, I missed one layer. Okay, so here's an original comment from Dixie introducing herself, and then I had a couple people respond back to the original posting. And then there's another layer out, and people responding, Joe to Brenda, Brenda back to Joe. So I show you that because under discussions, and when we edit that discussion, if you allow threaded replies, then it allows that multi-layer conversation to happen. Joe to Brenda, Brenda back to Joe, Joe to Susie, etc. You can choose to attach files. This one, depending upon what your needs are, is a great option that they have to post before they can see what other people have replied, allowing them to kind of do some of their own thinking. You can enable podcast feed, and you can make it graded or not graded, and what type of grade is that going to be. I also want to go over announcements and then the different ways that you can communicate within your course. Discussions looks very similar to announcements. The one difference that announcement has is you do have the option to delay posting. So if you're thinking a week out of, oh, I probably need to remind them that such and such is due, but I don't want to tell them until Wednesday, you can go ahead and create that announcement, and then that will be released to students on the day that you select. You have quite a few different ways that you can communicate within Canvas. One of your options is the chat feature. And that must have been turned off at an account level because I don't see it here on the left-hand side.
What are you not finding?
Chat. Oh, there it is. I need to drag it up there. Oh. This is how you determine what's visible to your students and what's not visible.
That's usually all set up by the instructional designer as well.
Well, students have chat functionality.
Right. Like I said, we have a standard menu, and like if a course requires the chat functionality, or if that's something they want to use, we make sure it's in there, preset for them before the course even starts. It's good to show them how to do that, but it's determined by the institution. If they don't want that feature available, then understand, everybody, just because you have the ability to do something, you may or may not be able to do that. Chat's not a big deal, but there are other things that are turned off for a reason, requested by the department chairs. So if you don't see it and you want it, you should probably talk to them first before moving things around.
So it's similar to any other instant messaging system where whoever is signed into the course will show up here on the right-hand side, and then you can have a conversation. You can see that this conversation that I've had with Beth has lasted over the last week or so, just being able to pop in and share conversations that way. I mentioned to you that Canvas does have an in-house email system. When you click on Inbox, and notice that I have a new email. I didn't have that when we started this training. That is from that conversation that was associated with that particular assignment. and that generates a new email. So you don't have to have a conversation about an assignment by logging into the assignment. That conversation's already been started, so I can continue that conversation right here. The inbox, you can choose to view, unread, starred, etc. If I want to compose a new message, I simply click on compose a new message, and as I start typing, it'll do autocomplete for me. It'll look for all of my students with Elizabeth. I can also choose, by using that drop-down box, I can look at all the 43 people in the art history class and send a message to that entire group, or to the teachers, or to a course section, student group, etc. It just keeps drilling down until I select who I want that to go to. Another way that you can communicate with students, we talked about announcements, discussions, communications, and chat. Conferences is something that it sounds like would be really beneficial for your specific target population. It's housed through Big Blue Button, and essentially it's almost like this GoToMeeting where you have the option of using a webcam, or you can share your computer screen. When I click on New Conference, I can give it whatever name I want. You can select the duration. You can choose to record the conversation. You can invite all course members. And if I click on Start, it's going to actually take me to the conference, and you can see the interface. Of course, I'm the only one that's logged on. I'm not going to do Flash Player, but that's what you'd have to enable to make this functionality really work, but I'm afraid it will mess up with the web conference that we have happening right now. If this is something that you think would be beneficial for you, I'd recommend you take about 8 minutes and watch the moderator presenter video that Big Blue Button has created. It gives you a great overview. You can also look at it from the viewer point of view and see how your students would interact with it from their end.
This would answer your questions about live sessions. All of our affiliates, I believe, have GoToMeeting capability. This is basically their GoToMeeting that's built into Canvas. So somebody asked earlier if there was stuff for live sessions, and there most certainly is.
I like that you can resize the size of these screens if you'd like. If you want that area to be a little bit larger, it does have that capability as well. You can choose your layout. You can choose your English or your language choices. So there's quite a few options that are available with Big Blue Button. It does maintain the recording, I believe, for 10 days. It might be 14, but I don't believe it's any longer than 2 weeks. And you can have up to 50 participants in a conference at once. You also have the option for your students to collaborate with one another. And it's my understanding that most people, as your students, will have Gmail accounts. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's sounds like for your type of collaboration that's probably better than Etherpad. Just Etherpad's a little more elementary in its functionality. But you can choose to collaborate either way. I'll just demo Etherpad because I don't have to do any Google Docs sign-in or anything. You give it your sample title, a description, and then just add your students that you'd like to start collaborating, and it creates this unique URL up here, and that's how the students are able to sign in, just going through groups, and then they'll be directed to this file. They start typing, and then the next student, as they're signed in, shows up in a different color. It's a simple way for students to be able to collaborate. And remember that as they're joining groups, it's easy for them up here under courses, then they will have a column that says my groups and be able to quickly get to their group that they've been assigned to. I think, okay. Somebody asked about quizzes and we haven't even gotten to those. And I don't know if I want to take time because I don't know if that answers the majority of people's questions.
Yeah, quizzes is something that you will see that works similar to any other LMS, where you add a quiz and you add the questions and the correct answers. It's pretty intuitive. I have a couple larger questions here that they're asking that I wonder about really quickly. There are external citation tools. They're like plugins that will help people automatically cite sources, and I'm wondering if you all have ever used those apps within Canvas or not, because I'm thinking that would be something that would actually be done within the Word document. So a student would go to an automatic citation tool, and that automatic citation tool would help them do the citations. Are you looking at it, Laurette, more from a grading perspective to add citations to something? Say somebody's working on a dissertation and you're reviewing it and you need to add citation. Yeah, it doesn't work in Word. Well, that would be done in Word, probably outside of Canvas. I'm not sure if that would pertain to this type of training. That's a little bit more high level than a beginning training course. So I could table that and I could get back to you about that, but I don't know if that's something that's going to work within Canvas. I would keep using that in Word. And like, if you could go to the grade book again, where you have the rubric and the feedback, understand that there are two ways to do citations. You can either use the internal citation tool, or you can download the Word document, do not citation tool, markup tools, and do the track changes as you usually would, and we upload the document with all of those things. So then that would be the way you would use your external citation tool as part of like the editing or grading process. So APA, right? So if you're grading a paper about how to do citations, then it would probably be a Word document, and it would probably be graded using that external plugin tool with Word. Then that document would be re-uploaded. So if you could just go in there and show them how to download an assignment and upload an assignment. Say a person attaches a Word document and you don't want to use the markup tool that's in Canvas, because I have the same tool in Blackboard, same company, and it can be good for some things and not so good for others.
So you want me to just upload a Word document?
Well, no, if you go into an assignment that a student has already turned in. So remember that one assignment you had where the students already turned it in?
Right.
Highlighted it and done some things. Okay. So this program has a feature where you can download the submissions. Okay? You can get all of the files. You can grade it in Word using track changes as much as you wanted to. You see it's downloading it. It's sending to her as a zip file, probably similar to what you see in Moodle. You open the zip file. You do your Word things as usual, and then there's a re-upload submissions button that you can go and send them all back once they've been done. Okay? But that's pretty high level, and that's not really something here for the beginning training. The beginning training was simply to get you guys used to how this is laid out, what the different features do, and basic uses of them. But as we go on, we may have to schedule some question and answer sessions for your specific needs. Understand that the training that comes from Canvas is just the basic training of how the system works, and that was the purpose of today's meeting. And we are at the end of our session. I can stay on and answer some additional questions, turn on the mic if you wish. We're going to value Dion's time, and if she wants to stay, she can. But I can stay on for about 10 more minutes and answer some more of those higher level questions for you. So Dion, I appreciate all that you've gotten to. It's a lot. Anytime you switch from an LMS to a new system, there are a lot of questions that people have specifically for what they do. So it happens, and I'm satisfied that you've given them a lot of information in these 2 hours. I really appreciate you coming and helping us out.
You're welcome. Thanks, Tracy. Have a great day.
You too. All righty, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to change the presenter back to me, and then I can go into Canvas and I can show my screen for anybody that wants to stay on. So let me go here and get rid of my reminders. So in Canvas, so let's go ahead here. If you guys want to stay on, raise your hand. I'll let the mic go. You can ask the question, and we'll bop around in here a little bit and try to address your needs. So is there anybody that's interested? I don't see any hands raised. Oh, Bob. Okay, Bob. There you go. Pick up the mic.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
My question is, one of the things I find helpful is to be able to see how often a student is logging into the course.
Okay.
When you last logged in. Is that possible to do in
Yeah,
Canvas?
that was the analytics section she didn't get to cover. My question window just disappeared, so bear with me for just a second. So I can go in here into settings and see how it works in Canvas. Course statistics. So let me move this here. Course statistics. If you go into settings and you go into course statistics, you go into students, it will show recently logged in students. Now you have to understand this course here is a master course, so you're not going to see that. Okay. Let me see. Getting started in demo course. Let's see if we've got a demo course here that will allow us to see anything. Not quite sure. So, course details, settings. Let's go back to settings. Course statistics. So it talks about running totals, how many discussion points, total for it. You've got it's not showing recently logged in students, but you will be able to see when the students logged in, when they recently logged in. You'll see basic information about your uploads and what types of assignments that you have, totals, and file storage. So if there is a student feature here, I would encourage you to go to the Saybrook page. It logged me out. And see if that is one of those things that's listed. But yes, there are student statistics that are there. Unfortunately, where the stuff that I have doesn't have that type of statistical information available, so I can't show it to you. But honest to goodness, as a developer and a designer, what I tend to do is I go in here and I just type in Canvas student statistics. I go straight from Google. So I'm going to tell you guys how I find things without having called technical assistance. Where can I find statistics about when students have logged in? This is their guides. Canvas has an extensive setup of guides and help center that are available, and they'll say, where can I find statistics about where students are accessing the course? So it walks through all of that, and it gives an individual's access report. What they did, when they were there, how long they stayed.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, you're so welcome. So I'm sorry, I have these windows and the GoToWebinar are very interesting. So let me turn off your mic, and then does anybody else have a question? If you raise your hand, I'll scroll through the list here and answer a question for you. I'm not seeing anybody else with their hands raised. You guys have some real specific questions, and it's really great, but I want everybody to please understand that when the Canvas people are on giving training, it's just basic training of how Canvas works. You guys have a lot of institutional specific things, and we'll try to, get answers to your questions, maybe have different sessions for those types of questions in the future. but that's how that works. But I'm here for the next 6 minutes if you guys have anything else. Looking here, I'm not seeing any additional questions. So I'm going to assume, since nobody has their hand raised or I don't have any additional questions here. Oh, here's Zanya. Okay, I'm going to release the mic. Go ahead and ask your question. Zanya? Can't hear you, Zanya. So maybe your mic's not set up. You could always type your question in the questions box, and I can answer it for you. So if you have a question, just let me know. Anybody else? No, everybody? Okay, well, thank you. You guys have a wonderful weekend. And Zonia, I'm going to put my, wait a minute, hold on, here we go. Interactive, you're not able to ask questions at the time. Yeah, it's kind of hard, especially hands-on interactive training, unless you're probably in a classroom. But I encourage you, just like I did here and I just went to Google. I had a question, I typed it in, I got my answer. Once you start learning how to get around, and that's the purpose of these trainings, because a lot of us are used to using one LMS or another. It's just, where do we find it in here? How do we do it in here? And so some of these trainings will answer those questions, but if you have specific ones, that's what we're here for. We'll answer them. We'll parking lot some questions, and then maybe we should have some question and answer sessions. I think that once you guys have access to the system, you'll be able to know what you don't know and ask more direct questions from there. So we're just, you know, this is new for everybody. We're working on getting it all out to you the best we can. Okay. You're welcome. I'm trying to see if I can, I'm going to actually try to capture these windows and screenshots so that we have the questions and the answers for prosperity. So I'll make sure that I save them. And if I'll look over the list and I'll see if there's anything that I haven't answered that I need to answer, and I will get back to you, okay? So you guys can go ahead. I'm going to capture these questions before I close the meeting, just in case I won't be able to see them when I close the meeting. And I will make sure I've addressed everything. I know who asked the questions because we have the list of who asked the questions, and I'll make sure that I'll get back to you if there was a question in today's session. There were lots of them that I somehow missed, okay? Okie dokie. So just let me know if you have any other questions, and otherwise you guys are free to go. Have a wonderful weekend.